we are not Russian. We are our own identity. It's like learning into your own history. Russia has never played by the rules. You know what I'm saying? Like for a Russian to play by the rules means you're an idiot. The Russian system currently is a mafia system. Like in the 90s in Russia, you had the mafia, right? It's like you guys are happy to like just like sit there and be like, yes, king, like thank you, like give me crumbs, or we've been at war with Russians for 100 years, like since the Holodomor. That's how they considered it. Like Ukraine is one of the most competent, especially in that Soviet Union. The Ukrainian were the rocket scientists, they were the nuclear engineers. There's like so much Ukraine has accomplished, but unfortunately, like the corruption that cancer of corruption has been like by osmosis from our neighbor Russia.
So Identity Talks episode 9. Title: Ukrainian parents, British birth, no place to belong. Intro: people love simple labels: British, Ukrainian, immigrant, local. But what if you're born in UK, raised in a Ukrainian household, and told your whole life, quietly or loudly, that you're never fully either? This episode is about second generation identity, the ones nobody really listens to, too foreign for Britain, not Ukrainian enough for Ukrainians. My guest is Orest, but best known for ARG-T, filmmaker, creator, visual storyteller, born in Britain, raised Ukrainian, shaped by London, no politics, no slogans, just identity under pressure.
Why no politics?
Orest, thank you.
I like talking politics.
Thank you for being on my show.
We can't talk politics, bro?
Yeah, we can talk about politics, but...
More political, the better.
Cool.
Fuck it, ban me from America.
Yeah, you were in America recently, no?
Yeah, I was living in America this year, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Yanks.
You met Ukrainians on there?
I went to the Ukrainian churches, I went to the Ukrainian museum, wasn't like the warmest of like welcomes. Thought I would be like, welcome to America, Ukrainian, wow. And they were like, okay, cool. Like, all right, like nice to see you.
Where did you go where you as a Ukrainian, you felt good?
We're on Identity Talks, but I don't know, like if I walk around like I'm Ukrainian, am I feeling good? But I do walk around with the flag a lot. So that is the dichotomy of this answer.
But do people notice when you're wearing a flag? I mean, you're holding a flag. People notice, that's from Ukraine, or?
Of course, yeah. I mean, I was in Brooklyn Beach with the flag. Like, there was like I forgot the Russian actor's name, but there's like a Russian actor from wherever the Russian films, like the famous one where the banditi were like when they're like fuck bro, I forgot his name. Anyways, he's one of the famous Russians that like seceded from Russia, and he's been very vocal. But the one it's like not Shmuriki or something. Some like I can't remember the bloody name right now. But anyways, maybe. He was like doing some like event in Brooklyn Beach, and I was like, I have to go to this, but I didn't buy no ticket or nothing. I thought I'm just gonna show up with my camera, and it was the day I arrived. I think in America, I think it's the day I arrived. So I was like, okay, or the day after. Anyways, I was high as hell. I was smoking. I arrived. I started smoking weed. I was like, I'm gonna go to this thing. I'm gonna introduce myself, or I'm gonna try get an interview or something, and like. Yeah, there was a interesting situation because it wasn't like, maybe I didn't behave in the best way myself, but also I wasn't like welcomed with. It was like, no, you can't film in here, you can't do this, you can't do that, and maybe I'm like a difficult.
I know you're a filmmaker. I mean, videographer, but you always have a video camera with you. Is it like a blog that you use to edit and you post on your social media? Why is it? What is it? Is it just is it like your diary? What is it?
Yeah. So like, that's a good way to keep the convo on track. You're very good at this hosting, like for sure, bro. But yeah, no. I like to film myself, or I like to document myself. I don't know what the footage is going to be used for. I guess like in my heart of hearts, I would like to think of myself as like the greatest artist that ever lived. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not. That's not to say that there's nobody better than me, but I'm just mean in what I do.
Yeah.
I'm a unique person in my own way in what I'm able to achieve. But I'm not saying that no one else is. I'm just saying, you know, like I'm very I'm very humble. So and like I was thinking about this. I was like, what am I gonna say on this podcast? I was like, I'm very humble, right? But that's almost like you're bragging how humble you are. So it's difficult to say. Oh, I'm the humblest of all. It's like a thing Trump would say. I'm so humble. Like I'm the most humble. You wouldn't believe how humble I am. You know, right? So, but it's a quality in my like. What do I look for in people? What's my own personality trait that I wish I was? What's the most important thing? Or like I can't stand being around people that aren't humble. You know, I think that's that's the one thing. Like if you cannot like just for a second like see the other person's perspective or however we want to define humble, right? Or like whatever. Like, but yeah, like for me, it's important to remain humble. So cool. Back to the video. I'm filming myself. Like, who's this like humble guy walking around? Like how is he? Maybe at the end I will have achieved something. Maybe it will be for nothing. I guess at the very least, I know if you want to get good at something, you got to do it a lot. Yeah. Right. So you got to put in the 10,000 hours. Is the saying, right? So for me, I'm just doing my 10K hours. I'm filming, and like the way I would describe myself is I'm slow. I'm very like it takes me a while to figure stuff out. Like growing up, like you know how you in the park you got the swings. I could never figure out the swings. Like everyone was swinging on the swings. I was like, Mum, how do I swing? And then it was got to an embarrassing level where I'm like over double digits in age and I still can't swing on the swings. But when I started swinging, oh boy, did I swing.
Swing, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So,
Orest, I know I met you through Question for Later, Andre.
Shout out Q4L, bro.
He was at an event, and I said to him, do you know any other Ukrainians that have been living abroad a long time? Someone like myself who either came and was raised up here as a child, or someone who was born here. And he said, yes, there's a guy, he's his Instagram, and I remember I contacted you. And obviously, you gave me your Telegram because I know many Ukrainians and Eastern Europeans use Telegram. So, anyways, I contacted you there, and you're like, you didn't want to say your name at the beginning because I don't know. I think you didn't know who I was. Maybe that's what I think. And anyways, we contacted, and you said your name is Orest, and we had a contact, and I introduced you to this hub, which you're like, wow, impressive. You came around, you made loads of friends, and even the owners love you here as well. Obviously, I said, Oman. I want to know a little bit about you, Orest. Tell me about you. You obviously you weren't born in Ukraine, you were born here. But tell me your story, like from UK, London, when you were growing up here. You know, what year was it that you were born here? Well, let's not even talk about, because if you say what age you were, people know what your age is. Yeah. But what was it like for you to grow up here in the UK, where Ukraine wasn't known? What was it like for you to grow up here? Tell me your experience here.
Yeah, so again, we're on identity talks, and like identity is such an interesting, I think, subject. I guess each person decides for themselves, like what their identity is, but then also you have to fit in within a society, and then whichever society you also identify with. So yes. I think for first generation immigrants, it's a common story where you might go back to the country where you're from, and they also don't look at you. They say, no, actually, you're not Ukrainian or Russian, you're English. So,
yes.
Like, I actually always considered myself like Russian Ukrainian, like, and I'm not gonna like, you know, like obviously since the wars happened, like I could try and hide it and like, no, I was never Russian, right? But to me, that would make me a rat, you know, a snake. You know, I can't like all of a sudden because I don't like.
But a lot of Ukrainians did that. A lot of Ukrainians used to speak Russian, and just because of the war started, they started speaking Ukrainian. I got 100% agree.
Yeah, and like back to your point about growing up Ukrainian here. Like, so my mum is like viciously Ukrainian, and my dad is like a bit less so. Like my dad grew up in Crimea. And in Crimea, in the Soviet Union, or at least the school he went to, he wasn't taught like the Ukrainian language and the identity of like being a Ukrainian. Even if you asked him, like he doesn't even identify as Russian per se. He's like, I'm from Soviet Union. Soviet passport.
Because he spent majority of his time in Soviet Union. He kind of grew up in Soviet Union, no?
He grew up in this. He never had a Russian passport. He never had a Ukrainian passport. Do you know what I'm saying? So like obviously like you had the whatever federation, whatever Soviet, whatever. But anyways, Crimea is like a special region, anyways, and always has been. Like 4 Ukrainians, 4 Russians, for the Tatars that live there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's like for the Turks. You know, it's like the Crimea is like. The history of Crimea is like...
You've been to Crimea? You traveled to Crimea?
I've been to Crimea. That's where like half of my family, like my grandma and my granddad, like died like during like COVID. Like thank God they didn't see the full scale, you know. Like, but they obviously lived through the 2014. You know, like it's affected my family since the beginning. So I've been very aware of what's been happening from the jump, just because of family politics. You know, and like obviously my dad like sending money back home, and we're like that's where like I had property that belonged to my mum, which was given by the Soviet Union to my mum. They gave her Crimea, and obviously like now it's in Russian hands, right? So it's like personally, like my family has been affected very adversely, like in my family that immediate family that I have here, and obviously like the extended family or whichever, like uncles, aunts, like how everyone has been affected in Ukraine.
Yeah, but now, listen, like your mom and dad migrated here. You were born here. What was your life here like?
Yeah, so they immigrated here. So growing up here, like I'll go to school and they'll be like, "Where are you from?" I'll be like, "I'm Ukrainian," and they're like, "Ukraine, where's that?" I'll be like, "Oh, like Russia." "Oh, you're Russian," right? So it's like, so then I become known as like Russian, right? And so like I identified, but I think also, yeah, I mean, even growing up in like, I grew up in East London, and there was like always like there was like, it wasn't like a Russian church, but it was like a Russian speaking church, right? And obviously like you call it a Russian church, but it's like Lithuanians, Latvians, again, that wouldn't, I would say are more adverse to be calling Russian way before Ukrainians were, or Polish, right? They were like, they have for a long time, you know, like Ukrainians, I felt like it was accepted. Yeah, the Russians are brothers. It doesn't matter, Russian, Ukrainian, like it's like a sharing cultures. And yeah, like, even though there was also like, I love Russian films, and there was always like, I always felt like there's this propaganda of like, you know, like they're always trying to like little boy Ukrainians, or there's always like a little like dig, or there's always like a little stereotype. Like if you look at Brat or Brat 2, or like...
I associate myself with Brat or Brat 2 a lot.
The best film like maybe ever made. So like in my opinion, like I love that film, but it's also like a Russian film. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, it's been difficult to have to reconcile. Like, yeah, like I was like, yeah, I'm just Russian. Like, cool, we're Russian, we're Ukrainian. It doesn't matter. And then obviously now everyone knows where Ukraine is. Now you can say like, yeah, I'm Ukrainian. And although there is like a lot of misinformation and like people still don't understand, and obviously like what the Russian machine is very good at is proper propaganda. Right?
Yeah, but you see what you just said about before. The reason why you associate more to the, I can say to the Russians or Russian, we could say brothers, is because Lithuania, Latvia was in Europe, Poland was in Europe, in Euro Union. I mean, I'm talking about. Yeah. So obviously they were associating themselves away from the Russian or from the Russian speakers. Yeah. Ukraine was still being Ukraine. It wasn't part of Euro Union. Yeah. Now, because Russia attacked Ukraine, now Ukrainians are saying, hold on a second, we are different from the Russians. We do have our own culture. We have our own language. That's why a lot of people now, people are like, oh, there is Ukraine. You know, because I was growing up here myself, just like you. People didn't know. Because when I said to people, I'm from Ukraine, they're like, so where's Ukraine? I said, well, next to Russia, Poland. And they're like, oh, Russian, okay. And then you just leave it as that because people don't understand. Now people know because obviously the news and blue and yellow flag, even the blue and flag that you said that you were carrying, in the UK.
I like the red and black one personally. You know, I like the Banderovsky flag, you know, and also like I have family. I have like my I think my great grandfather is a Banderovец, you know. So again, like my mother has always been like vehemently like been like proud of like, you know, the independent Ukraine. The fact like again, the propaganda like Russia was winning the propaganda war because it was ingrained in Ukrainians. Like, at least this is my exposure to it. But like even the Ukrainians I know here, I had like, you know, like my dad's friends who I would consider like maybe my godfather, like who was, you know, like, you know, uncle that comes and gives you 100 in the birthday card on your birthday, you know, like, oh shit, like, hey, like drives a Mercedes, that cool, like, you know, like, and so yeah, even for him, like from Kharkiv, he's from Kharkiv, right? And so
That's east of Ukraine.
so it was always like I was always told the east of Ukraine is the Russian one; those are the Russian ones, and the west of Ukraine are the like they're more anti-Russian, or they're like the Banderovцы, or they're like the ones that are more likely to speak Ukrainian, right? And there was like this divide. Oh, the Orange Revolution, right? There's the orange is the left side, and the right side
is the blue.
Of Ukraine, right? Not like politically, but just like So, and that was like accepted. Like I felt like that idea was accepted. So I don't like, to me this like obviously like whatever, like the war and everything has panned out the way it's panned out, but it might have been a huge misstep on Putin's like whatever Russia's imperialist agenda. They were winning like slowly, like it was ingrained that we are like kind of Russian, and half the country at least is basically Russian, or like half the country doesn't even speak Ukrainian. And now we've seen a huge, like even myself, I never, why am I going to learn Ukrainian for? And now I'm like, no, I need to learn Ukrainian, and that's like a common.
It's a common thing about
That's a common thing amongst Ukrainians now. Like we need to learn our own language. We need to make sure like we are not Russian. We are our own identity. It's like learning into your own history. So I had this like interest in, so I do videography, right? And like, you know, I had a huge guilt when the war started, at least the full scale invasion, like am I gonna go fight? Or like I was sick. I was living in Canada in the middle of, I don't know if you can swear, but I won't, but whatever, nowhere, 8 hours from Montreal in the middle of winter, and I'm sick. I had like some head thing, I don't know, infection from, I don't know, vaccine or swimming in Miami before I arrived in Canada, and then the war starts. And I'm like in the worst heads. I got banging headache every day. And I'm like, okay, I want to go fight, but I'm also sick. And I also can barely like, you know, do anything. And I'm just like, so what am I going to do? And I remember I spent that summer just like moping around, like just like watching everything. I just couldn't stop watching. Like obviously everyone on Instagram. And it was like, you know, obviously like heartbreaking, but also like fascinating.
But did you know that Russia will attack Ukraine? Did you knew?
I called it like way before. Like I called it way before, again, because like I just like always read articles on Crimea. I remember the Economist, they wrote an article like I think the year previous, as much as the year previous, and I was like parroting their propaganda that they pushed out, but it turned out to be true. But they put out an article stating that because the Ukrainians are turning off the water to Crimea, that Russia was going to escalate it. That theory, I don't know if that's like the full reason why, but the Economist called it like at least a year before. And I remember thinking, and obviously I had like extended family in Crimea, and I remember like having an interest, like what's going on over there. And I remember hearing stories about, okay, there's problems with electricity, with gas, with this, with that, like for a while. So I kind of like, there's like a dam north of Crimea, and the Ukrainians basically, they wanted to cut off the water supply. So like, and then people were telling me obviously like, oh no, Putin said he's not going to start anything. I'm like, you know, the average person, you kind of like have to try and explain to them, or sometimes it's just like taxing to even try to go down the road where, you know, how much history do I have to explain? Or I even have like people now that are just like, why doesn't Ukraine just give up? Why is Ukraine still fighting? They ask me. I'm like, what? Like, and it's perplexing.
But Orest, a lot of people don't care, to be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't care about this war. As long as it doesn't touch them, people don't care. And a lot of people, I've noticed a lot of people that came up to me and they said to me, Alex, Wars been going on for thousands of years, different wars.
Yeah.
And some people just saying, because thousands of years, different wars been going on, why do we care if Russia and Ukraine is having a fight?
Yeah, so I mean, look, you know, there was a big thing made about like, oh, the West is helping Ukraine because they're white. Oh, they're white, and because they're blonde and blue eyes.
Yes,
that's the
topic.
only reason we're helping them. And like, actually, like every country, like that's just a common misconception about geopolitics. People think it's like it's like a humanity kind of thing. Like each country looks after its own interests.
Yes.
Yeah. Each country is doing what's good for like their best interests. It's in and like I'm like we can. The most frustrating thing is the nuclear discussion, right? Like Ukraine, flat out, is the only country that has ever given up nukes. So if you want there to be safety in the world and you want there to be less nukes in the world, wouldn't you want the country that gave up its nukes to remain a safe and a good example for those other countries that might consider giving up nukes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think maybe that's a thing in our generation, is that we grew up and maybe it's just a Western thing, but like at least for me, it was a shock that there's like a war in Europe, right? Like a full scale war, you know, and like it was inconceivable. It was almost inconceivable. And like, okay, even like what was happening in Crimea in 2014, it's like most Ukrainians didn't care.
Yeah.
Most Ukrainians didn't, that's all the way, and it's like, the right wing or whoever is saying we need to train our kids. Well, nonsense. Russia's not going to invade us.
Yeah.
There's like some civil war thing, and like people were still buying the Russian propaganda, even though the war was happening in their own country. And it's like, I don't expect anyone in a foreign country to care about what's happening in a different country. You know, that's fair enough, you know, like that's like cool, you know, but politically, governmentally, right, like policy-wise, if we're going to get into policy, again, we mentioned the nuclear thing, right? But again, secondly, like the proximity to the war for European countries is a lot closer than, say, like other countries, say in Africa or North Koreans or Chinese. They've been helping Russia, like the Chinese helped Russia from day one. From day one, they attacked the infrastructure. They took down the systems. That's why the first day was complete panic. I remember that first day, and I remember how everyone was panicking. And it was the Chinese that did that, and that's just the truth. And each country is doing what's best in its own interests to, however they want to progress their like geopolitics.
But you see, I think this war is I think it matters because you have to understand that we are fighting a country with nukes.
Yeah.
We're not fighting a country that has no nukes. And even Americans, for instance, even when they got involved in different wars, Iraq, Iran, all these, Iraq and Pakistan, these countries didn't have nukes. And I wouldn't say military strong. Look at the Russians, for instance. Look what they're doing. Think about it. The war's gone on, since 2014, but full scale 2022. And somehow Russia's still standing.
Yeah,
with all these mother sanctions that they put, Russia's still standing. How?
Yeah, but again, the sanctions are like, first and foremost, like we have to give credit where credit's due. You know what I'm saying? Like Russia is a formidable, sneaky. Like Russia has never played by the rules. You know what I'm saying? Like for a Russian to play by the rules means you're an idiot. Mm-hmm. If you play by the rules, their whole system is like. So like again, I feel identified partly as a Russian. Like I've also been to Russia. Do you know what I'm saying? Like part of how I was building my music career, like was in Russia, in Moscow. You know, so like I've been to Moscow. I had like many Russian friends and cousins, and like most Ukrainians, you know, some uncle in Siberia.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So like, but yeah, again, for Russians, to play by the rules, they're not gonna play by the sanctions. They don't care. Like, okay, you sanction us, so what? We'll get the iPhone through Turkey or through wherever they're sourcing the parts from. There's sanctions on like high-tech weapons, on chips, on certain chips. Cool, we'll just like send our agents, whichever like agents they need to send, and we'll get it on the black market. You know, they're not. It's not like we're sanctioned. Oh no, that means we can't get the products that are
Yeah, but that's what the Americans thought. The Europeans thought. We're gonna sanction them, and their economy will collapse. And the economy hasn't collapsed.
Yeah, I mean that's like it's a propaganda point. You know, like it's like I don't know who thought it, but like I think lawmakers are very aware. Like currently, the EU sends more money to Russia even today than it sends to Ukraine. So all that like we send money to Ukraine, fuck off. Do you know what I'm saying? Like all of that, like first and foremost, you send money by spending it in your own economy, like say what the Americans do. You spend it in your own industry, and then you loan us weapons that you didn't give it to us. It's like when you say I sent you money, that means I don't have to send it back to you, right? Like I gave you money. Like okay, did you give it to me or did you loan me something? Did I borrow it from you? Like you lent it to us with interest. This is like most of the money, most of the package, most of the whatever aid, like there's humanitarian causes and shout at the and most of what the Europeans want to provide is they don't want the smoke. They don't want to get involved in the military actions for the most part.
Yeah, but you're seeing Starmer, you're seeing the UK government now, they're saying that we need to get prepared for the war with the Russians. Do you think UK Europeans will get a fight with the Russians? I don't believe so.
Well, like from the Russian perspective, like Russia's number one enemy is the UK propaganda-wise. I don't know, like, but even I remember, so I went to the World Cup in Russia, and I remember even during that time, UK told its citizens don't go, and most British people didn't go to that World Cup.
Which year was this?
2018.
2018.
So, and I like again for British people to go to football. You know, British people love football. And I remember, like, I went, and it was arguably the best World Cup there ever was. And because Putin, he said to all the criminals in Russia, like you know, again, like, so the Russian system currently is a mafia system. Like, in the 90s, in Russia, you had the mafia, right? You had the whole...
But it was more exposed than it is now, right?
Yeah, so obviously, like, what happens is like, when you have, like, so 90s, everything collapses, like, everything's up for grabs, like Abramovich, etc., all the oligarchs buy up the stuff, like however they can buy up assets that belong to the people.
Right.
And then power gets consolidated.
Right.
You know, and we've had a king, a Tsar in Russia for 25 years. We've had one man in power. And this is what I don't understand from the Russians. It's like you guys are happy to like just like sit there and be like, yes, king, like thank you, like give me crumbs, or give me like you guys are happy to be like not only complicit in like whatever crimes, like you keep your mouth shut, but like you guys are supposed to be like big bad Russians, but you're a bitch. You're a bitch because you got this old man that's telling you what you cannot do, and if he doesn't like what you do, you're going to prison.
Why does it matter to us though? We live in the UK though. Why does it matter to us?
Yeah, I mean,
I understand that you got Ukrainian in you. You were born in the UK. But remember, you grew up majority of your life here, and now obviously Ukrainian identity kind of jumped from you because of 2014, 2022. Would say I would say the biggest, because obviously the big scale war started, and obviously many Ukrainians that were kind of like a hedgehog before, they came up and like, whoa, I'm Ukrainian, wearing vashtivankas and start speaking Ukrainian and whatever the case is, because we got that help from the West. But why do we care if Putin is in power for 25 years in Russia?
Because if there was Nemtsov, things might have worked out differently. Like if there was a fairer system and there was like fair politics, like we wouldn't have like there wouldn't be one man that can just like start war. And I'm not gonna like, you know, like it's easy to sit and point fingers. There's a lot of things in Britain that we do wrong, and this is my critique. Is like. It's like, if I live in my system, I want to be able to come out and say, like, I don't like what's happening in my country. I don't like that Britain takes taxpayer money and spends it and makes weapons and gives it to the Israeli, and that kills kids. I don't like that. I don't like that in England. So again, even for me, like currently, I feel a bit like, you know, I really judged Russians, right? Like, why did you guys not come out? Why did you not all protest? Why the millions of you, like, you're killing your brothers, like that you say, your cousins, your grandmas that live in Ukraine. You've gone and you've invaded, and they're like, Ukrainians were telling the Russians, like, you guys are killing us. And it's not like we went to some faraway lands and we killed whoever, and we don't really know what's happening, but there's some stories that maybe something's happened. No, it's like, but still the propaganda is so strong that the common population falls for whatever state propaganda is fed to them. But, so, okay, it was really difficult for me to atone with that. But currently, we're doing that in the UK. Like, we have more political prisoners in the UK than Russia, and we want to point the finger at Russia, like you say. Like,
yeah, but we're hypocrites.
We are hypocrites.
We're British. We're hypocrites. Yeah, that's the truth. And you know one funny thing about, I know we're talking about kind of the war in Russia, because I was talking about more about identity and stuff like that, and you were saying, and I was gonna say to you, listen, this is my belief. I honestly don't believe Russia or Putin wants to fight Europe. I don't think he wants to conquer. I don't think he wants to conquer the full of Ukraine. I just honestly don't believe that he wants to conquer the full of Ukraine. Maybe he wants to conquer the full of Ukraine because of the resistance. The Ukrainians, think about it. Ukraine is such a small force fighting a second biggest army, like on a piece of paper. They call it paper tiger, whatever. And now it's attacking and it's holding on. And you said about Europeans. You said about Europeans that how is it that the fact that they're buying more stuff from the Russians, they're still buying things from the Russians?
Yeah, oil and gas. Like, they're still dependent on oil and gas. Like most of it is I remember. So this year I went to Transnistria, right? And so still Soviet Union there, right? And it's like this year the Ukrainians cut off the gas and the supply for the pipelines that go for, because Russia was feeding, and I'm just like sometimes politics really perplex. Like I'm really like shocked at and the Russians are like, oh no, the Ukrainians turned off our gas supply to Transnistria, to Pridnestrovia, and it's like, you're at war with them. What did you like? And it's still that Russian arrogance. Like, no, we're gonna bomb you. We're gonna be at war with you. Well, actually, it's not a war. It's a special operation. Like, for however long that term lasted, right? But you're still gonna supply our gas to our territory that we're maintaining.
Yeah, because it's been agreed. It's been by agreed. There's a pipeline. There's a pipeline from Russia that goes to Ukraine and it goes to Europe. Yeah. How comes they haven't bombed that pipeline? How comes they're bombing hospitals, schools, whatever? How comes they're not bombing that pipeline?
They're even bombing nuclear power stations. Like, even Chernobyl right now, like the cover of Chernobyl is exposed. Like, Chernobyl, which in part is Russia's fault, is exposed now. The dome that was built, we're all suffering from it. Like, they're like, health wise, who's to say how that's gonna play long term? And again, it's for the Russians, they don't either they don't care, or it's just corruption. It's like, Russia is like let's talk about Ukrainians for a second. Yeah, Ukraine, all I've known my whole life is Ukraine is corrupt.
But have you as a Ukrainian, British Ukrainian, when you went to Ukraine, did you see firsthand did you see corruption firsthand?
Yeah, for sure. But you know it through family stories.
Okay, for viewers and listeners that are gonna listen, there's a lot of people, like British people, they're gonna watch this, and there's other people listen to. Some people have never been to Ukraine, they've never been to Eastern Europe. You have, because you were born here and you're from a family, and you go to Eastern Europe, right? Firsthand, have you seen corruption firsthand?
I think suggesting that there's no corruption is maybe the most ridiculous thing. Like, there's corruption everywhere in every facet of life.
There's people saying there's corruption here in the UK. Let me tell you, I've been in the UK for 27 years. I've never seen someone take a bribe. Never seen it.
Yeah, bribes are a bit different. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like a direct police, the direct police bribe, or under the table cut, but. Like, in the UK, you can work cash in hand.
Yes,
you can not pay tax. And the thing is, I'm more interested in the corruption at a government or a high state. Like, COVID was the huge, the biggest corruption scheme of government giving contracts to their best mates to make hundreds of millions of dollars. That is an English corruption. I don't know about other countries and what corruption schemes they had during their COVID cycle, but we had like corruption in the UK is like non-stop. It's like non-stop. Like so and this is the difficult thing. It's easy to point the finger at the thief stealing some chicken or whatever from the supermarket than it is to point the finger at the billionaire or the banker or the politician that's taking like money like that you cannot fathom. It's like so many zeros. You like we like once you start going over it, the difference between a million and a billion is so huge. Do you know what I'm saying? A millionaire is so much closer to us than they are to a billionaire. You know, and it's like the wealth, the gap of wealth between like again, like so for me, like corruption is like the corruption that happens like say for example, an obvious corruption is right now there's lads in Ukraine that don't want to go fight. I don't want to go fight. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there was like I say, there was a part of me at a time where I felt like guilty for not fighting, right?
I think all of us felt, but listen, I've met Ukrainians here in UK. I've met a Ukrainian guy that he paid $7,000 just to escape from Ukraine to here.
That's corruption.
Okay, that's corruption, and you understand. And you think to yourself, "Where's the border guards? Why do?" But at the same time, people are making money. If a border guard is over there is making $400, I don't know what $400 is like in Ukraine. I don't think that's a lot of money because everything kind of skyrockets because of the war. If he knows that he can make 7,000 or maybe even 4,000 and the rest he can give it to other border guards, how are you going to survive in Ukraine if it's very hard to survive? Life is not easy in Ukraine. Listen, in Ukraine, there's people in Ukraine, if you're rich, and I think it counts everywhere, if you got money in your own country, why would you go to abroad? Why would you live abroad unless you want some success and you want to make even more money?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few points here, but like life in Ukraine is very beautiful. I will say this.
Before the war or now?
Even now, I went to Ukraine now. Ukraine is way more well kept than England. Like way prettier. Like I was in shock. The flowers are still like potted. Like of course, like there's like problems in roads here and there, right? And there's like shit stuff gets bombed. Right, I went to Kharkiv, right, and like you're seeing they're building new apartment buildings in Kharkiv. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, okay, like that's perhaps maybe like foreign money. I don't know how those construction projects are going about, but at least like in Ukraine, the thing about Ukrainians is that they take care of their territory. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they're farmers, you know. They every little plot of land they need to like plant something and need to like have a flower there and a tree there and some like pear tree, and they need to do something with land, and they need stuff to be like looked after. And it's just like it's a mentality, and it's also like even I had this conversation recently as well. It's also like in schools, right? It's like respect. Right, it's like if you go to UK school, there's a complete lack of respect for like elders and for teachers.
Why is that? Tell me why is that? Why do we have that problem in the UK? Is it because we have so many different nationalities here? Is it because the government allowed it to happen? Is it the policy in 1960s that came up and they said, you know what, if you see kids, when they do something bad, just let that happen. Don't even beat your kids. Don't even teach them. Why do we have this problem? How comes Ukraine is so different to the West? And remember, you have to understand this one thing as well, Orest, yeah? Before the war, most Ukrainians that lived in Ukraine, they used to think, wow, the West, we need to go to the West. Why do you think Euromaidan happened? Because they thought, wow, we want to live like Europe. Look at Poland. Poland, our neighbors, is flourishing. We want to be like that. Now, a lot of Ukrainians that are in the West are saying, I went to a chat and I couldn't believe it. They're like, now because we live in Europe, now we live in the West, now we can see it. The West is worse than it is in the Ukrainian. I think in Ukraine it's a lot better. And a lot of Ukrainians that came in, especially when they're talking about services and they talk about how they even got Dia, you know Dia, the app.
Yeah.
They've everything on the phone. We don't have this in the UK. I think it's about why is it that we don't have certain things in the UK? We're supposed to be we're supposed to be in the UK. We're one of the richest, the financial thing here in the UK. UK is the powerhouse when it comes to finances. How is it that we don't have certain things that Ukrainians have?
Yeah, so like I mean the DR I would like not necessarily argue is a good thing. Like I wouldn't say like mass surveillance. Like mass surveillance, it has been pioneered by the British. Like the Big Brother, George Orwell, British guy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like CCTV, the most CCTV, most surveilled state. Like where did China get his whole idea from like surveilling a citizen? They got it from Britain, from London. Like London, the most surveilled like place, like the capital city in the world. I don't know if that's still like accurately true, like with now like all these other like cities that have copied us, right? But so cool. But again, there are positives, right? Where things are surveilled, places are safer, right? Like, so then you have to have like inherent trust in the government. Like, I don't know, like it's also like British culture, I'm gonna say this first and foremost, like I love England, do you know what I'm saying? Or like I love London, you know what I'm saying? And there's like a lot of things I love about England and about Britain, but there's a lot of things I don't like, do you know what I'm saying? And I think like, and I've been around the world and have lived in many places around the world, and the grass is always greener on the other side. And you get there and there are like positive things, and the things that are positive about it are great. But then once you've lived there for a while, you start to notice where the cracks are or where things are maybe not as good, right? Like with the respect thing as it comes to like, I don't know, like, I don't know if Britain ever had respect. I'm not gonna like sit here and pretend, you know, I'm not even gonna speculate, right? But like, I know for a fact, like, we've had gangsterism in England, in London, the Cray twins, you know what I'm saying? Like we've had like my again, I usually judge English society and I judge English people, and it's like I feel like we're very temperamental, and it's like the French, they're ready to revolt for like any like rise the pension age, they're revolting. Change something with the public, like whatever, railways, they're revolting. Like anyways, like the French will find any excuse to revolt. The English somehow very like they're very like we have so many things that are constantly like so many laws like introduced in so many ways, like so many public like so much erosion of public trust and of like just last week, since the Magna Carta has existed, an individual has had the right to a jury trial. Last week, the British government has got rid of your right to a jury trial if you're facing 3 years or less. And this is the thing. This is what happens is that it slips under the carpet and you don't notice it. And bit by bit, they take more and more and more and more. But I think what's happening, my assessment of what's happening to British culture is almost the same thing that is like the Russian. Like I will draw a parallel here, because for we speak the Russian language in Ukraine, right? Ukrainians, right? Like I say we as if I live in Ukraine, but like Ukrainians speak Russian. Oh, therefore you're Russian, or therefore we need to invade because we need to protect the Russian speakers. Wait a second, is it a language, or is it because I speak Russian, now I belong to Russia? And this is kind of almost like, this trick has almost happened with the Americans. Like, because even though English is from England, America is the dominant society. It is the dominant economy, the dominant culture. So they've almost like, even like, say the way you spell things in English, if you spell something with a U, like color with a U, oh, Microsoft Word or wherever it is, no, you need to correct that. Color is spelled this way. It's spelled the American way. So that's been like, the Americans have influenced British culture. The Americans have managed to find a way to like infiltrate, like through propaganda, just the same way how the Russians do. Like they infiltrate many, and right now you have like English people that will wear MAGA hats and will bring Donald Trump banners to protests, and it's like, wait a second, are you British or are you a Yank? Are you proud to be British, or are you which I thought the British owned America. I thought the British like started America, and you guys are supposed to be like, even like I say, even the right wing people have bought into the propaganda, and we've had this issue that America's a dominant economy. They like if England was the 51st state of America, by average GDP, we would be the poorest state. We would be the poorest state by person, how much each person owns. Like, this country has sold everything since Margaret Thatcher, like especially the Tories, but Labour have some blame as well. Like they've sold Royal Mail, they've sold BP, they've sold BT, they've sold the water supply, they've privatized everything. Like, so we've had this issue. Like, my argument and what I would like to implore people to do is, like, instead of looking left and right, look up. You know, it's like, what is the system that is controlling us? And we've entered this late stage capitalism. And my worry for Ukraine, like, what's going to happen is you're going to have all this American influence. And that is the critique, right? It's like, oh, America has influenced the politics. And it definitely has. Like, we're not, like, it's like Ukrainians are fighting for their own survival. So we'll take any shovel, any helping hand we can get because we're so down bad. But you guys promised, we give up our nukes. You promised to defend us. Instead, you send us like some old weaponry that you've got on the shelves that you need to get rid of so that we can train it, so that you can watch how it happens, so you can learn from it, so that you can start your own wars. And then, like, you want to say, oh, we're helping you, we got to stop helping the Ukrainians, we're sending them too much money. Fuck off. Like, send your boys. Where's your lads? I thought.
But you're saying that because you grew up here. You know the Western. You know the culture. You know about Britain, and even America. You're talking about America. You know that. Even when they said we're gonna support Ukraine for as long as it goes. Biden left. You got Trump. Trump is a businessman. He thinks about America first. Like, think about it. They were talking about how to make America great again. Okay, America great. What year are they talking about to make America great? Which year are they talking about? When was America great?
Yeah, I'm like.
Have you ever thought about that? Even that quote. When he said America's great, which year is he talking about?
No, so America became the dominant number one economy. They took it from Britain after the Second World War, because the Second World War was one with Soviet blood, British intelligence, and with American steel. But when America provided its weapons, they like to say, oh, but you wouldn't have won without our guns. Yeah, but we bought it off you and you made us owe you for those guns. Like, we can't get back our blood. Like, we can't, like we're talking about 100 million death of the Soviet Union. Like, close. I don't know if that's like confirmed, but it's round about there. 100 million deaths. Like, where's our deaths back from with interest? Impossible, right? Once you're in the ground, you're in the ground. But you guys made the economy great. You guys became the number one economy. I'm sure there was like a lot of prosperity. Like, again, there's a huge, I'm not a capitalist, right? So there was a huge issue in America with capitalism, with like how black people were treated, right? Like how minorities have been treated. So yeah, was America great for everyone? No. But was it great for the white person, like in the prosperity of America? Yeah, you probably, like, Donald Trump was born in 1946. So his mummy and daddy probably fucked at the end of the Second World War. They probably had sex and then Trump was being born, right? And so he is of that baby boomer generation who have benefited from everything. They've taken every single liberty that they can take and they've left nothing for the generations after them. And so that's when they say, like, let's make America great again, because they know that life was sweeter. Like, inflation has like outpaced earnings since the dollar came off the gold standard. But again, there's like, instead of like suggesting, oh, maybe capitalism, maybe we've like entered late stage capitalism, and that's the issue. Instead of like discussing, oh, what about communism? What about the benefits of communism? Like, we wouldn't have had NHS in the UK if it wasn't for communism. If it wasn't for the fact that this state was afraid, oh, the commies are coming, we need to give these like soldiers, these veterans something. We need to give them some social programs, because otherwise everyone's going to vote communist.
You know, when I did the Ukrainian podcast, I had a consultant, and all the consultants that came to my Ukrainian podcast in Ukrainian language, they said the same thing what you just said, that about NHS being like a socialist program.
Yeah.
I never believed it until I did my own research. And you're right. The reason why NHS can't handle now the problem is because of the population, and there's a lot of things changing. There's a lot of management in there. Obviously, they're privatizing a lot of things. Like you said, you're talking about even water. Water's been privatized there and a lot of things. But let me get back to the point, because I know I was trying to talk about identity, but we're going into Ukraine and politics, which is good. And it's good. America, Europe promised to help Ukraine.
Yeah.
We know that Europeans are still buying a lot of Russian resources. We know this. I've read an article from BBC that 3 times they made more money, 3 times more money, the Russians, from the resources that Europeans are buying than all the help that Ukrainians got from the war. You know, and it's gone. But let me ask you this question. Ukrainians are still dying, and I know Europeans will say, well, as long as it's not our soldiers and our people, let them die as a thing. How do you see the war ending then?
I went to Nice recently to Cannes Film Festival, and there was like some Ukrainian meeting in Nice, and I met some like OG Ukrainians, right, like elders, and they said, no, this is a 100-year war. Like, we've been at war with Russians for 100 years, like since the Holodomor. That's how they considered it. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's been like, and when you go, like, I went to. So I'm working on my first film. I went to Ukraine this year. I went last year. And I've been asking this question, like, how do you guys, like, who cares about how I see it? Like, me, like, personally, like, this is going to be a bit cross, but I don't care. You know, I literally, like, if Ukraine becomes Russia or it doesn't, what do I care? Right? Like, and it's kind of, like, sad to say, but it's like, what's sad to me is the kids that are dying. Right? What's sad to me is the population that's been bombed, right? But is Ukraine, is Russia, is like all of these countries, all these notions of countries, are they going to exist in like 10,000 years' time? Like once I'm dead, once I'm in the ground, like what exists after me and which country and which territory is where, which politically, which old man is fighting over, like which control of what where is not up to me. Like what I care about, like I say, first and foremost, is number one is for children to stop being like injured and murdered at the hands of. That's if the Russians, like they say, like the Russians when they started the war, they're like, oh, why don't you come out and fight us in the battlefield? Like it's almost like it's the same thing with the Israelis, the same with the Zionists. Every time they point the finger, three fingers are pointing back. Like every insinuation is an admission of guilt. Like it's and the Russian power, what they have power in propaganda. Like what is Putin? Putin is not like KGB agent like running around like with shooting that 007. Like he's not like a spy. No, he's like a paper pusher. He's an information man. Like Putin's strength is he knows how to control information. He knows how to keep populations quelled. He knows how to influence, especially foreign propaganda, foreign nations, foreign populations. You know, like the 2016 election with Clinton, how he influenced Facebook. And again, why would he not? Like, it's not like a crazy thing to say he influences American politics. Of course he does. Why wouldn't he? Like, are Americans not trying to influence foreign politics? Are the British intelligence not always trying to influence? That's the game of geopolitics. That's what every nation does. And that's fine. And again, so like it's sad. Like I'm not, and again, I don't want to be a hypocrite, right? I don't want to sit here on my high horse, or I'm Western, and because I'm from the West, I'm so much better than you, and I'm telling you how to live. No, it's just that I'm from the West, and I see the problems in my country, and I call it out. And just if you live in your country, I expect you to call out your problems, right? And so, like, my heart goes out to the Ukrainians because they want a better life, like you said. Like, they have corruption in their country. And again, like, the corruption in Russia is way off the charts. If we look at, like, and where does a lot of this corruption stem from? Yeah, this corruption stems from Russian influence. The Russians are the ones that have introduced this system.
But Orest, I don't really care if Russia has corruption, because you just said that it's a Tsar, it's dictatorship. Forget it. I don't care about that no more. We're talking about Ukraine that wants to be part of the West. It's Ukraine that wants to be part of the West, not the West to be part of the Ukraine.
But you like one way or another, like Russia and Ukraine are neighbors. And that's going to be the case forever.
Even if they finish the war, I know that. They're going to have to somehow coexist.
So,
I know that.
And so there's going to always be interference. And so one way or another, your neighbor's politics are going to affect your politics. And they're going to try and influence your politics. And depending on who's in charge, who's in power, is going to dictate what problems you're going to have in your own country.
But let me add a bit more further for you.
Yeah.
We both live in UK. So right now, there's no rocket flying over thing. We're safe, all right? But what I see in the West is going on right now. I see that there's a lot of division. A lot of people have different mindset and divisions, left and right and central and so forth. I see that the West is imploding from inside out, not from external threats. Yes, you got geopolitical, you got all these agents, blah, blah, blah. But from inside. Look, we have a problem with immigration here. I don't think we have the biggest problem with immigration. I think UK has other problems here. But that's the problems that we're having here in Europe. And the problem is that the West said we will help Ukraine because sovereign country is, how is it that Russians can attack a sovereign country, blah, 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 whatever the case. But Europe, UK, America promised to help Ukraine. And I feel like, yes, you've promised, but you're not really helping to the full extent. Why don't they give them the full package of weapons that needs to finish Russia off? But they can't do it because it's a nuclear weapon.
No, it's not like.
Why can't they? Okay, well, Boris, let's be honest here. Why can't they give them everything that they need to finish the war? Why? Honestly, why? Why can't they do that? Is it because it's business? Let's drain them. Let's make business. Is that what more important?
It's not in the British interest to do so. Like the British, like is not like they are not gonna. This is part of the problem of democracy. Yeah, democracy is slow. Like you have to like go to parliament, you have to approve stuff. It's like bit by bit by bit by bit. If you have an autocrat, a dictator, they make a decision and that's it. Right? China, yeah, we're gonna go full in on we're gonna hack them. Like North Korea, yep, send them troops. Like the West, why is everything so slow? You have to like we had Biden for 4 years. Okay, like Biden's kind of helping. Like the deep state of like America wants like to. They understand that Russia is their number one enemy since the Cold War, right? Like, okay, but like again, like secondly, like Putin is a mastermind. Like he is a mastermind politician. That he's a career politician, you know. And again, he knows all of the world secrets. He knows how to control, he knows how to control foreign politicians also. Like just you know, like so again, so. He makes threats like on the surface. Like again, even okay. Let's just assume that we have a competent government. And that's like such a like to assume that the people in power are competent, like is assuming a lot, you know, like honestly, like.
So Orest, so let's say, for instance, theoretically speaking, let's say Ukraine collapses. The front line collapses, Russia walks in. What do you see? Do you see them just taking Ukraine and that's it, stopping there and then returning back to base, or they're going to go straight forward to Europe?
Yeah, so like first and foremost, I would like to hugely say to the Ukrainians, like you guys, like it's astounding. Like people say that Russia is winning. Like if a snail had started at the beginning of this war, it would have like reached America by now and beyond. I don't remember. They don't quote.
Yeah. I know.
Go chat GPT and go figure out how far a snail would have got. And so for a nation that Russia belittled, like little Ukraine, they don't have nothing. Or like that is 4 times less the population, like 40 million versus over 150, and that's 40 million is like that's giving some leeway considering people have left. You know what I'm saying? Like huge amount of refugees, etc. Like whatever. But the fighting population-wise, like, for the fact that Ukraine has managed till this day without even like air support, like with little bloody drones, has managed to hold off Russia for this long.
Collapse,
Like for 4 years has been fighting toe to toe with like Russia, and Russia has had support from North Korea. North Korean troops are fighting for them. The Chinese are like constantly like providing DJI drones, constantly like hacking, like etc. Like huge support. Like the Indians like are involved. The Iranians Shahed drones like. And still somehow like the Ukrainians are holding firm. So I think that's a testament to the strength of the will of power of Ukrainians. And again, beyond like corruption in the country, you think Ukrainians are not sick of their own corruption. This is what this war is over. These people say, oh, Ukraine is corrupt. Ukraine doesn't want to be corrupt. The people don't want to be corrupt. They want a fair and better system. They want to join EU. Why do they want to join EU? Because EU forces the country to set up bodies that keep power balances in check, right? And so, but it's, why do we care about, Russia's politics? Why do we care about? Because he's the one, they are the ones that want to keep Ukraine corrupt because it's in their interest. Oh, no, don't join EU. We'll give you gas for the cheap. Like, right? That's like, that was the deal. And then the Ukrainians said, we don't want your bloody gas. We don't want this corruption. We want systems. We want to like earn our like place. And so where will the war end? Like where, like I'm not like a military strategist. Like I can give you some theories, right? Like, I mean, look, they have Prednistrovia. So like Russia are gonna wanna join that territory. Currently, that's going to be a potential next hot point because Moldova, they're considering taking back Prednistrovia and there's 1,000 Russian troop peacekeepers there. So, like, Odessa is a very, very important, like, city in this war. Like, is Russia going to be able to hold Kiev? Like, it's one thing, like, taking a territory. It's another thing holding it. Yeah. Is it going to be able to hold Kiev, which, I recently went to Kiev. Like it very much feels like the local population there is through and through Ukrainian. Like you cannot say Kiev is Russian, you know? So is it going to be in their interest to try and quell the population there? I don't think so. Like what's going to happen if they take Odessa and they get to all the way to Prednistrovia, all the way up to that Moldovan border, like
Odessa,
that's like decades down the line. You know, I can't like.
If they take Odessa, economically, Ukraine, I think is finished because at least they use Odessa through the ports. No, they still do trading.
Yeah, I'm shocked of how well Ukraine is still functioning, considering how much has been taken. Like 20% has been taken, right? But like, there's like huge, huge industries, like the biggest nuclear power station in Europe, right? Like you had like the steel industry, right? Mariupol, like the metal industries. You had like ores, like of like minerals, right? We know like Ukraine is like a nation of like farmers, right? And like we produce food. And I would just like to get to this point, right? I would like to like. Again, we were talking about, like, at one point I mentioned, like, okay, like, Ukrainians are white, predominantly, right? Even though we have, like, poor, like, Africans that get to come to study because they cannot afford, say, to go to, like...
To the West.
Yeah. There's a lot of Moroccans, a lot of, like multitude of countries that, like, Kiev is the cheapest European city, right? So for them to get an education, a European one, of like a country that has 1,000 years of history and institutions that are like accepted, right? Like somewhat, like they all like all dentists, etc., etc. A lot of Moroccan dentists like got their training in Ukraine, and so like it's very like presumptuous to say that Ukraine is like this like racist nation when your own nation is racist, right? Isn't America, like basically the most racist nation that like ever existed, right? Like, isn't it like we still have people alive today that were not allowed like in the same toilet as other people of other color.
Yeah, because people don't know. People don't know about Eastern Europe. They don't know. They don't know about Ukraine properly. I mean, they know about... If I said to a British person, I'm from Ukraine, I think 4 things will pop in his head. Putin, Zelensky, war and immigration. And that's it. Or maybe Shevchenko and Klitschko brothers. People don't know about Ukraine. It's you travel to Ukraine and you're born to Ukrainian parents. You go to Eastern Europe. You've obviously been to other places in Eastern Europe as well. And I understand it because it's closer to heart. But most people don't know about Ukraine aside from war and refugees that are coming here. Well, that's it.
Like again, so like I think like the West might not know about. I've been to Haiti. I went to Haiti in 2019, and he was like, "Yeah, Ukraine. I get my chickens from there." Like 50% of the food that went to the UN World Food Program. And when I went to Odessa recently, I saw the UN World Food Program everywhere. I've never seen a UN World Food Program truck in London, right? But in Ukraine, like there was a presence, a noticeable presence. And why? Because Ukraine produces food. 50% of the food that fed poor, like destitute, like people that are experiencing war, refugees, like brown people, Muslims, all these people that we say right now, what about Yemen? What about Sudan? What about these countries? Yeah, what about them? Like Ukraine was feeding them. Ukrainian soil provided the food that fed them, and the Russians came and bombed warehouses. We're talking about warehouses so big, like you cannot comprehend the size of these warehouses. Yeah, like you cannot comprehend how many tons of food, and Ukraine had to withdraw from the UN World Food Program. So it's a tragedy, not just for Ukrainians. Like we will feed ourselves. We got our land. We will feed ourselves. We have enough food. But what about the wars happen? Yeah, what about Sudan? Who's going to feed them people now? Are you going to feed them? No, you want to go on Instagram and you want to say, oh, why are we helping the white people in Ukraine? But you're not going to send any food yourself. Like you're going to put a link in your bio and you might raise, or even if you do raise £10, you give whatever, even if you gave your whole salary, it cannot match what the output of Ukrainian, what does Ukraine produce? Like Ukraine produces food. That is our main, like in the world, like
agriculture,
our power, like our economic power of why Ukraine is important. Like Ukraine is a small country compared to like the big dogs. But Ukraine is still the biggest European country.
Yeah, it's a breadbasket of Europe. That's one
of the breadbaskets of the world.
Yeah.
One of the 3 most important grain exporters of the world. This isn't like Georgia. This is why the Georgians, they're behind Ukraine, because the Georgians can never resist Russia. And this is the biggest shock. And this is, I'm like so proud. And it's kind of hard for me to be proud of something that's not my own achievement, but it's astounding. It's how can anyone contemplate that Russia is winning?
So let me ask you this. When did you become really proud of Ukraine or Ukrainians?
Yeah, so I mean...
Which year?
No, I mean, like, honestly, like, I thought that was it. Like, 2022, I thought the government is gone. You know, I thought Zelensky's out of there, like, Kiev's fallen. Like, I thought that was that.
Why? Is it because you knew the corruption of Ukraine? You thought the government would just give up and just...
Yeah, again, I'm not an expert in corruption. Do you know what I'm saying? I know my own political system. I know Britain, and I watch Britain, and I see things myself, and I can read The Economist, and I can kind of like hear from my family, and I can hear from like whatever friends and family about what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in Russia, and pay attention. But like again, I'm not an expert in those matters. But yeah, like it felt like, yeah, I mean, like Crimea happened, no one did anything. Like the Donbass, like the war was happening for 8 years.
But nobody took Ukraine seriously. Come on, the West never took Ukraine seriously.
But
they saw Ukraine as a backyard to Russia.
Well, like I don't. Who cares? Like it's not. Well, yes, Obama refused to send weapons to Ukraine, and like Trump actually, from what I understand, in his first term was actually started to advance like support for the Ukrainians. Like, so credit where credit is due, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not like Ukraine has defended itself on its own 2 feet. When Russia invaded, people come out and they started making Molotov cocktails and started handing out AKs. And they said, all right then, come then. Like women, like children, everyone is in the street making Molotov cocktails. Like we will get empty bottles and we will just light it on fire and we will throw it at them. Mm-hmm. And that was the energy. Do you know what I'm saying? And that is a population like America invaded Afghanistan, couldn't defeat Afghanistan because the population said like we're not, like you can invade us, you can occupy us, we're not gonna allow you to like you're not gonna take us over. Like and again, I don't know if this was like a huge misstep by Putin because politically he was winning. Like we considered ourselves basically Russian. Like around the world, no one knew what Ukraine was. They had kind of won. Like, and it's almost like I don't want to start running around the world, but it's the China playbook. China, like, and Taiwan, they're just gonna keep pressure. They're just gonna like continue to like infrastructure, like spread their infrastructure, spread their propaganda, and like if it takes 100 years, they're not ready for like a hot war. That's a smarter, if you're talking about geopolitically, how to like take territories, right? And I would just like to say this point as well. Like Russia is the greatest empire that ever existed. Yeah, like when I say like not to say great is like a good or a bad thing, but great size-wise, that's a factual statement. Russia is the biggest country that exists, right? And if you look at the history of Russia, like, and this is the thing about Eastern Europeans as well, right? We didn't have a conquest into Africa. We didn't send ships.
Yeah.
We didn't go and
I
take
agree.
foreign lands. Like, what does Russia do? It takes like neighbors. Like the Russian, like if you look at Russian history, they go to like their neighbor, they crush them and they say, look, you can join us or we're going to make it so bad for you, you're going to wish you joined us. And that's, I think like people say this is, oh, Putin's the bad man. No, the Russians, they're good. They're good guys. It's just, no, this is Russian. This is the Russian playbook. Russia is the greatest empire that still, because it's the only empire that still exists. All the other empires have fallen. Everyone else has fallen. Russia's still going. Like it didn't lose any land. Like since the Tsar, it's gained land. It has more land mass than when the Tsar existed. So of all the royal families that came, went, wherever, like the English royal family, all the territories have been lost, Russia is still bigger, expanding bit by bit, taking parts of Georgia. And like, yeah, where will this end? Like maybe everywhere will be Russia. But
you know, you said about Ukraine, you know, they're giving weapons and stuff, but you have to, I know we can debate this for hours, but you see, they're giving enough to Ukraine just to stand, you know, and they're not winning. Ukraine is, I'm not saying that Ukraine is not winning this war.
No, it's a dire situation. It's a very dire situation. Like you go to Ukraine, there's simply no men left in villages. Like you go to villages, it's just women, and there's still men, and there's still rich men, and they're still partying, and they're still like driving BMWs and Mercedes, and there's still some wealth somehow, right? And there's people that are like apolitical. There's still, even now, people that listen to Russian music or, you know, like watch Russian films, Ukrainian, especially like the youth, like they're like, and it's not my position to tell the youth you shouldn't be doing that or you should do this or that. But how is that going to play out long term, right? Like who the hell wants to be at war for all their life? Like I don't even be at war for a second. You know, so like what is going to happen to Ukraine? Only the Ukrainian people can decide. It's such a difficult decision to make because on one hand, how can you? Okay, so let's just give them what they have. We'll draw up the line or let's just give them what they want. Fine, we'll cave. You guys win wherever you said to the Americans, wherever you want. Like fine, like is that the end of the war? Like, is that you think that's gonna be the be all end all and they'll never attack again? Let's be for real. But secondly, like for a lot of Ukrainians, like so much blood has been spilled. Like everyone has a relative that is either involved or has lost a life, right? And there's like so much trauma that how can we concede since we've already lost so much up until this point? But the saddest thing is just like the next generation. Again, like my heart bleeds in all of this because of what's happening to the youth. The youth, like the youth's future has been stolen. Yeah, like a lot of the youth is literally being stolen. There's like Ukrainian children which are being stolen and sent to North Korean camps. Like there's Ukrainian children that are being indoctrinated in Russia to go fight for Russia against Ukraine. Like, and that is like, there's a mass of problems. But ultimately it will be for Ukrainians to decide their own fate where they want to draw this line.
You know, you say that for Ukrainians. Yes, I agree with you, but it's also us for people that live in the West to support Ukraine, no?
Like,
because Ukraine could not stand by its own against Russia. There's no way.
Like ultimately, like it's the biggest betrayal. Like politically, from what like, and maybe like I'm biased. It's possible, right? Because but I'm also Russian. I also count myself as Russian. So I also feel like maybe I'm uniquely positioned to kind of like whatever, like observe and see things from all propaganda standpoints, right? But like America, England, Russia, Ukraine signed a pact, and they said that they were going to get rid of the third largest stockpile of nuclear weapons. Yeah, and in the history of humanity, like Ukraine is the only country that has ever done that. Like I heard, like, my theory is that they kind of knew that they were corrupt and they were worried about what would happen. So it's like Ukraine made a sacrifice because maybe these nuclear warheads would have ended up on the black market, would have ended up with terrorists. Like, again, we've had like a fall of systems. I don't want to say like, again, like that Ukrainians are incompetent. Ukraine is one of the most competent, especially in that Soviet Union. The Ukrainian with the rocket scientists, they were the nuclear engineers. There's like so much Ukraine has accomplished, but unfortunately, like the cancer of corruption has been like by osmosis from our neighbor Russia. Like, again, I was in the villages and I had like Ukrainian uncles tell me like, yeah, like Ukrainians are just farmers. Like, they're just farmers. They live on their land. They live off the land. The land provides everything they need, and that's it. But then they have like, he's like, I was in the Soviet Union, and a KGB man like approaches me and starts telling me what to do. And it's like, it's this. What's the difference between a Russian and a Ukrainian? A Russian has never been free. A Russian has never had freedom. They had the Tsar, then they had the communists, like the CCCP, right? Like, which told them, you need to do this, you need to do that. And now they have another Tsar. And they've never had a system in which they control their own fate. That's a complete stark difference between a Ukrainian. Ukrainians are, every man is his own man, and every man is the leader of their territory. And the Ukrainians are constantly like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the stereotype, but it's true.
You can say about Ukrainians because you can see the west of Ukraine, they've always traveled outside of Ukraine to work and to make money, and they build beautiful homes and businesses in Ukraine, like the west of Ukraine. I'm not talking about the central and the east because it's a bit different. But you see, you have to understand what's about the people in the west. Their support for Ukraine is dropping.
Oh, yeah. It's dropping, and not only that, it was never sufficient. Like it is. It's atrocious. Like it's atrocious. Like, I wish I could sit here and I say to you, like, yeah, like we're gonna. Like the West, yeah, we're gonna make sure that Ukraine will never lose. Like that's a propaganda. I've seen the YouTube channels, right? And there's always two sides of YouTube channels. There's the Western ones, which are like, Russia's losing every day, and they're gonna collapse at any moment. And it's like they've been collapsing for 4 years. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Russia's been collapsing any day now, right? And it's just like is untruthful to, like, maybe again it's a way to control the masses and to drum up a fever, but in the long run, again, if we are supposed to be the democratic free speech, however, in inverted commas, free speech, right? But like place, and that is what our beliefs that we believe in, then maybe we should be honest and spread the truth. But the opposite side of that is the propaganda of the opposition is so strong. They know, like, again, each individual, why is the West, why is it dropping? Because we're in the middle of a recession. Yeah, like, why are we in the middle of a recession? Because we've entered late stage capitalism. We have a war. So like it's hypocritical to say to Russia, you cannot invade Ukraine if America is invading Venezuela, right? Like, it's hypocritical to say, like, yeah, Russia cannot kill the children of Ukraine if we kill the children of Palestine. That's hypocritical. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, it would be like a fight for Palestine is a fight for Ukraine. These things are all interlinked. Yeah, like the power structures that exist, like morally, like if you believe not in just morals, right? But morally, like if you want to do what's right, you have to also fight the power and the system that we are existing in. And I would love to say that, yeah, we're gonna fight this war. I don't know what Starmer has up his sleeve, because he just like this week, right? Or like last week said we need to start getting ready for war with Russia. But I just don't see this population like booting up and running over there to help out. But again, like, and that's not to say that Ukraine has thus far defended itself, like for the most part. Like, it's not been through outside help, it's been drone warfare. 80% of the war, of deaths right now, are happening through little to small, like, drones, right? And the attacks that are happening on Russia are with Ukrainian drones. Ukraine is the number one manufacturer now of military drones. We are producing, we have our own industry. We're not like some small nation. We are a nation of 40 million, like before pre-war population. We are the biggest landmass in Europe, obviously outside of Russia, but most of Russia is in Ukraine. But we are the biggest European nation. There is a lot of power in Ukraine. And I think maybe we need to stop like somewhat suggesting like, yeah, we are helping the West. The West is benefiting from us. No, we are helping you. You guys are learning how to do warfare with your number one enemy, who's been your number one enemy since the Cold War. Like, and what perplexes me, what really perplexes, I'll tell you this. Yeah, like British citizens have died on British soil because of Putin. Yeah, like how any British citizen like can even fathom the idea of supporting Russia when there have been terrorist attacks. Like, I went to university in Nottingham, and so I had homies that would go to Loughborough University, and my best mate from high school, his housemate was on the plane that got shot out the sky on the way to he was going to Thailand. I don't know if they were like which plane that was, but he was one of the British citizens that was downed by Russians, by the Russian separatists, by Russian weapons. And so how on earth any Westerner cannot be fully supportive against, like we're not even sending you. Like, we're saying send the weapons. Send us everything you got.
No, like you said, information propaganda really works. People using TikTok now and all social media. I've seen it myself. You're talking about YouTube videos as well. There's always two sides of a story as well. I've seen those videos as well. And YouTube is a bit it can regulate, but I've seen TikTok. People don't even have no brains, no common sense anymore. Listen, I'm not going to take a lot of your time because obviously I think we're getting over than an hour. I wanna. We talked about a lot of politics, but I've got some signature moves to ask you from Identity Talks. When someone asks you, where are you from? What answer do you give them?
Yeah, I usually say like Ukrainian, Russian, like I just like, and then I say, and then I let it fester for a bit, and then I say, oh, but I'm also British.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I like to, I do identify as British. I grew up in London.
Yeah, because you got a slang, you got that London slang.
I'm a Londoner, yeah.
Which group rejected you more in your life, British people or Ukrainians?
Yeah, no, like British people never rejected me. Like, I think, like, again, earlier you commented that we have an immigration problem in this country. Like Britain, I think, is a success story of immigration.
Yes.
Like, we have a rich culture and rich history of immigrants, not the last 100 years, talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I'm talking about in 1066, the Battle of Hastings, the French king won the war. Yeah, like Britain belongs to France. The French was the language in the Houses of Parliament until like the 1800s. Yeah, so really we're French, right? And so like, and then we can talk about how the royal families are all interlinked and they're all intermarried and et cetera, But again, like for me, like I love the fact that I was like, I identify more with London than I do with the UK.
Me too.
Yeah.
Since 2022, do you feel Ukrainians suddenly claimed you more, even though they barely noticed you before?
Yeah, again, I don't know who's claiming who. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't I live a life where even talking about identity for me is difficult because like I do it more out of a social construct because I believe that you should live your life as much as possible without labels. Because when you identify with labels, say like, again, if I'm Ukrainian and someone says something about Ukraine that I don't like, then I get triggered and I emotionally, and it's difficult for me to think rationally because I feel like you've personally attacked me. And that's just like so for me to be able to think rationally, for me to exist, but on the flip side, there are cultural implications to being a Ukrainian. There are foods I like to eat. There's a way that I was raised. There's like a history. There's like even say my body chemistry, you know, like is a certain way. My genetics is a certain way because my ancestors come from a land and there's a history of that land. And were they farmers? Because they were farmers, that means they were strong. Who's the number one boxer in the world, baby? Usyk, let's go, you know.
Orest, where can we find you? Where are you on social media? If we want to follow you, follow your work, maybe collaborate.
Yeah, you can find me like currently like
Instagram.
Yeah, you can search for me as Zero Rest. So Zero Rest, you get it. Orest, the O becomes a zero. You know what I'm saying? So you can find the things I'm worked in, I work on, and then there's a little trail there. But
cool. Are you on Instagram? You got any other social media platforms that you use, or are you just happy with Instagram?
I'm everywhere, baby.
Okay, yeah.
I'm everywhere. Search for me. .com.uk. Whatever, like UA.
I had an outro for you, but unfortunately, because we went into politics, and us British Ukrainians here living in UK for a long time, someone even like yourself that was actually born here, I can't even finish with the outro because it's completely differently. I just want to say thank you very much for being on my show. Thank you for your time. Thank you for it was a good discussion to talk about exactly about us. British Ukrainians, Anglo-Ukrainians that live in UK, talking about exactly how we see the war and what's going on. And it's a good factor that you said regarding everything. I just want to say thank you, and slava Ukraini. Це що я хочу сказати.
Героям слава. Yeah, appreciate your camera, whole professionalism, you know what I'm saying? You are the man, and keep doing what you're doing.
Стараюся.